Hello everyone, my name is Shreya, and on this channel I share everything about life in the UK and much more interesting stuff. So if this is something you're interested in, kindly subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell icon to stay updated for my future videos. So if you've just passed your PLAB 2, first of all, congratulations. So, next comes the big question: how do you actually get a job in the NHS? So, from registration to writing a perfect CV and nailing your first NHS interview, I'll break it all down for you in this video. This video is just not going to be a theory video. There are going to be some practical tips for IMGs as an IMG who's actually been through all of that. So, let's dive straight into the video. So you've passed your PLAB 2, amazing. But here's the next immediate step. Apply for GMC registration and a license to practice. So go to the GMC online website where you actually booked your PLAB 2 exam as well and upload your required documents. And most importantly, they're going to be your primary medical education, your English test proof that could either be IELTS or OET, and your passport. There is also going to be a registration fees, and the registration fees could vary depending upon your circumstances. And if everything's okay and they approve your documents, you should get your license in a week or two. So once you're registered, you're officially eligible to practice in the UK. Meanwhile, start creating your career folder, and in that folder, upload all the digital copies of all of your documents, including your degree certificates, your complete proof of completion of internship, or if you worked somewhere, proof of previous employment, and PLAB certificates, your ID proofs. What you can do is you could either create or upload them in a Google Drive or a Dropbox, whichever is easier for you, and make sure that you've got easy access links available for all of those. And in the meanwhile, start preparing your UK style CV to apply jobs, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So let's talk about the type of jobs you'll be applying for. So most of the IMGs apply for non-training jobs if they are coming to the UK to practice medicine for the first time. And the non-training job essentially means that you're not really progressing in your career, but you're still here working in the NHS and getting the experience that you need before progressing into formal specialty training, if that makes sense. From my own experience, I would 100% say that first apply for a non-training job and then see how you like it here, and then apply for a training job, because I've seen a lot of IMGs getting into specialty training, or like giving the MSRA and getting into specialty training straight up from their home country. And once they arrive here, the system is different, every country is different, and you definitely need some time to understand how things work here. And there are a lot of terms which before I came here I wasn't like familiar. If I wouldn't have been into a non-training job, it would have been like really difficult for me to adjust, because in a training job, there's like so much portfolio work that you need to do. And being a trainee, the consultants here would assume that you know how things work in the UK. But in a non-training job, you could actually take your time and understand the system, and then progress or apply for a training higher specialty. So the common titles for non-training jobs after passing PLAB 2 would include trust grade level jobs, SHO jobs, clinical fellow. So for clinical fellows, it could either be a junior clinical fellow or a senior clinical fellow, depending upon the experience that you've already got. And the other could be equivalent to F2, and yeah, and the locum appointment service as well. So these would be the titles that you'll be looking for while applying jobs. So these jobs are not dead ends. They are actually your stepping stone into the NHS, which give you time to adjust and learn the system and build your portfolio for your specialty training at the same time. So you can apply across many specialties, including A&E, medicine, acute medicine, surgery, care of the elderly, and many more. So that is going to be 100% depending upon what your preferences are. So one pro tip would be don't wait for that perfect job. So apply broadly, because even to get into training in the UK, you would need to have UK experience. I mean, it's not essential, but you would want to have UK experience. So I would say keep your mindset open and apply to as many jobs as you can. Having said that, keep in mind that you would not want to apply for the jobs where you would 100% not want to work. So, but other than that, if you're okay to work in any specialty or in any area in the UK, keep your search broader, and that will actually help increase your chances of getting a job in the NHS. So, where and how to apply for jobs in the NHS? So, the official website these days to apply for jobs is Track Jobs, but make sure that you also check out BMJ Careers, nhsjobs.uk, and the specific hospital or the trust websites as well, because sometimes some hospitals advertise their post first on their own website, and then they would release it on the Track Jobs. So you could actually apply or get in touch with the consultants through the trust's own websites. So on Track Jobs, you'll have to sign up and create an account. After doing that, you'll have to update your personal details. And then there would be a section to upload your CV. So do that. There's also going to be a section to upload your personal statement where you could mention when you graduated, what you've done so far, and if there are any specific achievements that you would like to mention, you could add that to your personal statement. Apart from that, you'll have to provide at least three referees with whom you've worked with in the last 3 years for at least 3 months. So they could either be consultant, someone from the HR team, your line manager, or any senior colleague that you've got who could actually provide a statement that there have been no complaints or issues while you were working with them. And they could be people from your home country whom you've worked with. So they don't have to be people in the UK. They're going to be the people that you've worked with in your own home country. So, another pro tip would be don't wait until you get your license to apply jobs. As soon as you've passed your PLAB 2, start applying for jobs, even if you've not applied for the registration at that point. Because when you'll be applying on Track Jobs, you'll see there would be option to select that have you applied for your license, or are you waiting for your license, and you could choose either of them. But don't wait until you get your license to start applying. Start early. As soon as you've passed your PLAB to start applying for your jobs straight away. So, how to write a perfect or a powerful NHS CV so that your application stands out from the rest of the candidates. So, a UK based CV essentially contains of like 4 sections. So, the first is going to be your personal details. The second section is your education. The third section is clinical experience, and the fourth section is skills and add ons. So, in personal details, of course, it is going to be the usual stuff, your name, your address, your phone number, your email address, just the usual stuff. The next important section is your education. So that would include when you completed your primary medical education, from where did you do it, your PLAB 1 and PLAB 2? When did you complete or like qualify for PLAB exams? In that section, you could actually add a couple of your achievements, your distinctions, or any of the awards that you've got. So that section is going to be education. The third section is going to be your clinical experience. So in this section, because a lot of Indians, not a lot, all of the Indians do have to go through 12 months of rotatory compulsory internships. So make sure that you mention that as well in your clinical experience, because that is something that you've done after you've graduated from your medical school. So write all your rotations and for how long you've worked in those specific departments, or if you've got any other um, your home country based experience, do mention that as well. And don't only write that you've worked in this department for so and so months. Make sure that you add more details, like what your regular day used to look like. Did you attend the ward rounds? Were you prescribing, or were you assisting in theaters, or were you managing patients on your own? To add those details to this section, because that is very essential. And then comes the fourth section, skills and any other add-on. So this section is the most important section, and it should get all the emphasis it needs. So in this section, you have to add if you've done any of the audits, research projects, quality improvement projects, or if you've done any courses like BLS, ALS, or ACLS, any of the extra courses. So, coming to the first part, audits. Coming from India as an IMG, I wasn't really quite familiar with audits, because that wasn't, that didn't come naturally or normally to me. But now that I'm here working in the NHS, I would like to highlight that doing an audit in your home country, let it be India or any other country, is really, really important before you apply for jobs. You don't have to do a lengthy audit. All you need is a simple topic, and just to complete the audit cycle. But make sure when you're applying for a job that you've done at least one audit. So that really increases your chances of getting a job here. The next thing could be quality improvement projects. So again, it could be a very simple topic. That could be that you've improved your handover a bit, or you've made some modifications in your handover system, and that could be a simple quality improvement project that you could do. And a lot of quality improvement projects could be done within 4 weeks, I would say. So make sure that you get your hands on one at least before applying for the jobs, while you're there in your home country. And the next is making sure that you do ALS or BLS courses, uh, because while you'll be here in the UK, you'll actually have to do ALS course, the Recess UK ALS course. I'm pretty sure you could do that while you're there in India as well. But while I was there, I don't think the Recess UK one was available. But in current scenario, I'm not 100% sure. So the one that I did was the American Heart Association ALS course, which did really help get me my first job in the NHS. So make sure that whichever course is available, you do that. Or there are hundreds of online courses, short courses you could do, so that you could add them onto your CV, and you could choose courses according to the specialty you're aiming to apply for. But make sure that you do some online courses. And if you're really keen or you like research, you could do a research project. You don't have to like really complete the project while you're applying. Does if that makes sense? You could still mention that you're working on a research project, because even the tiniest initiative that you're interested in research, or you wanted to do that, or you're working on that, would really make a difference. So if that is something that you're doing, make sure to add that to your CV while you'll be applying for jobs. Next important thing is going to be how to write a personal statement for your application. So make sure that you tailor your personal statement according to the job that you're applying for. Of course, you can use a template for different applications, but do not make it generic, because that is not going to help your application. So usually there's a structure that you could follow. So that's gonna be, the first part is going to be intro, who you are and what you're applying for, or why you're applying for this specialty. The next is going to be your relevant experience. So make sure that you mention whatever relevant clinical experience that you've already got from your home country for the specialty that you intend to apply. That could even be a 2-month rotation while you did in your internship. So do mention that. And the third section is going to be skill section, where you'll have to mention if you've got skills like, I would say, good communication skills, if you're a good team player, if you're empathetic. And you could actually check the NHS values and add some skills if you've got them from there, like the ones I just mentioned. And the next important question is going to be why this trust, or why this hospital, essentially. So do your research first. Go to the hospital or the trust website, see what that hospital's values are, what's the location, and how does the hospital, what's the system or the values the hospital runs on. And in your personal statement, you actually will have to mention that. So I am currently working in Wales, if I didn't mention that before. So while I was applying for my application, I did mention that I do love nature, and that is a kind of place I would like to start working in the UK. And surprisingly, my consultant did ask me the same question in my interview, like, why would I want to work in Wales as my first job in the UK? So, yeah, that's gonna make your application stand out from the rest of the candidates. And then the last is your career goals. So tie all of those points down to how this job is going to help you progress in your career, what your goals are, and how you intend to work towards your goal while working in this job. So, another pro tip here would be, do not oversell in your personal statement. Just write what is true, or what is relevant to the application, to the specialty that you're applying for, because the consultants could easily point out when someone is just lying on their application. They've taken so many interviews so far, and they've seen so many applications, so it's not difficult for them to figure out when someone is trying to oversell them. So absolutely do not do that. So once your application's been shortlisted, you'll likely be called for an online interview. So most of the interviews these days happen online through Zoom, or it could be Microsoft Teams, depending upon the hospital or the trust. And the interview usually lasts for 20 to 30 minutes, and they are usually panel based. So there could be 2 to 3 consultants and another person from the management team or the HR. The next comes what they'll be asking in the interview. So, again, that question is very subjective and it could depend upon the specialty that you're applying for and what the consultants are looking for. But the basic questions would be tell us about yourself, where you have to keep it short and compact and just tell about your relevant past clinical experience and tailor it according to the specialty that you've applied for. The next most common question is why this job or why this hospital? And I just mentioned that in your personal statement, you would have mentioned why you're applying for that specific hospital or the area. So mention that, but again, keep it short and relevant because you don't want to bore them. And the next important part of the interview is going to be some clinical questions. So they might give you a clinical scenario and they would expect you to probably like make up a diagnosis or like differential diagnosis and what investigations you would like to do and what would be the best plan of management for that patient. So, in the clinical scenario questions, even if you do not know the management, there are some things that you could still say while not knowing the management, if that makes sense. So, you could actually, if you're not 100% sure about your differential diagnosis and the investigations, make sure that you mention stuff like that you would like to confirm your plan with your senior first before finalizing. And yeah, make sure that you mention that you would like to escalate it to your senior, or if there is a very sick patient, escalation is really important. Even if you do not know the definite management, escalation and making sure that you're confirming everything you're unsure about with your seniors is really important in the interviews, and that's what the interviews actually are looking for if you're a safe doctor. So they do not expect that you would know all the diseases and all of their management or stuff like that, but they just want to make sure that you're a safe doctor. Apart from that, the rest of the questions could actually depend upon the consultants and the specialities. But make sure that if you've got an interview, that you read up about that specific specialty and the most common diseases or their managements before sitting for the interview, because that could again increase your chances of getting shortlisted in the interview process. So that's it for today's video. I hope it helps simplify the process and boost your confidence. And if you've come so far, the NHS is waiting for you. So make sure that you like my video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell icon to stay updated for my future videos. Thank you. Bye.